And
Well, you keep saying and.
you go ahead whenever.
I forgot.
Today's episode of Thunderheads is brought to you by Wellness Perspective. Wellness Perspective makes it easier for you to live healthfully. They're also making it easier for us to do this podcast. Check them out at mywellnessperspective.com to learn more.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads Playoff Round 1 preview. Yeah, you just totally came in there. Too early. I haven't even introduced you.
That's my bad.
If you're tuning in on YouTube Live, we're psyched to have you. I am Brandon Soul, joined as always by the Thunder Tie himself. It is Mr. Justin Wright.
Thunder. Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Are you doing Imagine Dragons?
I
Oh,
am.
come on.
I mean,
Hey, you got it, though.
I
Good
got
job,
it.
buddy.
I got it. But, I'm pissed that I got it. That doesn't feel good to get.
Well, you'll get it next
But
time.
it's like it says thunder like 400,000 times. It's the best song ever.
It's like winning a lifetime supply of like hot dogs. You're like, well, it's cool, but it's also like that's
Now I
terrible.
have to eat so many hot dogs,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
really wouldn't be so different for me.
Doctor's in the house. It is Rob Larson.
What is up? Nope. Okay. Somebody has to say something.
Yeah, I didn't have
Okay.
anything.
All right.
Not much.
Dark and Stormy Jason Lewis is in the house as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, today we're going to talk about Nick Collison's goodbye minutes, or
Such a good dude.
allegedly. Russell Westbrook shattering records. And, of course, we're previewing the hell out of the Thunder Jazz series. But first, I said we were going to be done with the disaster of the week, but I changed my mind. Let's get this thing off, in the traditional Thunderheads way. This story's out of Connecticut, America.
Oh, not Connecticut,
Well,
Qatar.
if we have international listeners,
You never know.
yeah, you never know. A Derby, I guess Derby is a place in Connecticut. A Derby man's fixation on pop singer Taylor Swift led him to rob an Ansonia bank last week, drive to her Rhode Island home, and throw money over a fence to impress her. Police said on Tuesday. Quote, it seemed he wanted to propose to her, Ansonia police spokesman Lieutenant Patrick Lynch said of Bruce Rowley, but she wasn't home when he went there. He said he threw some of the money over the fence to impress her.
It's piss poor planning, bud.
When the singer failed to show, Rowley decided to drive home. Rhode Island troopers spotted his vehicle and pursued him into Connecticut, where Rowley was apprehended. We didn't know about Taylor Swift until our officers picked him up from state police to drive him back to Ansonia. He began to talk all about it in the cruiser, Lynch said. According to police reports, Rowley spontaneously uttered on the ride back to Ansonia that he went to Rhode Island to meet Swift, who police said apparently knows nothing about him. Once at her $17 million Watch Hill mansion, Rowley tossed some of the stolen $1,600 over the fence for her to find. That's $1,600.
$1,600. That'll do it,
He
bud.
thought that was going to
That'll
do
get
it for her in her $17 million mansion.
Yeah.
He also mentioned he planned on donating some of the money he stole to the Ansonia Police Department. Yeah, that one's probably not
He
going to
said,
work.
guys, check this out. You let me keep this. I'll give you 10%.
There's probably...
$160,
Yeah.
not counting the stuff he threw over the fence.
Yeah, he's got to go get that back.
Hey, you're not greasing the hinges very well with that
He's
one.
like, hey, fellas,
I
you
think
think you
that,
got guard dogs?
This is what love makes you do. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Love makes you do crazy stuff. This guy is just a little misunderstood.
And Taylor Swift is notoriously inspired by different things when she writes songs, and this could totally be one of those inspirations. So Rowley's 26 years old. He lives. It's weird that they give his address.
Directly his
Whoa.
address.
I won't give it out.
That's a breach.
Now some people are just going to start
Man, that's
tossing
not
money on
cool.
his fence.
He was.
Wait, that sounds genius.
That's true. He
Taylor-
was.
Taylor,
Maybe
if
that
you
was his whole plan all along.
Taylor's going to be like, well, you know.
He was charged with second-degree robbery and fourth-degree larceny. Two people identified him as the person in surveillance photos taken during the April 4th robbery at Webster Bank. Rowley was spotted April 5th driving on I-95 in Rhode Island in a 2001 Jeep Cherokee. Police said Rowley fled to Rhode Island when troopers tried to stop him. The pursuit ended on exit 89 on I-95 in Connecticut after Connecticut troopers used spike strips to flatten out the tires. So it sounded like there was a chase after this.
So he kind of almost got away with this if he hadn't probably thrown the money over.
Well, if he hadn't talked about it, maybe he wouldn't have had so... I don't know.
I mean...
I feel like he...
Also, snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Those people that identified him got some
Ooh,
problems
That's
coming.
true. I mean, he was just
wait till he
like
gets
you
out
said.
of the
He's going
pen.
for love. Love
Yeah.
makes you do crazy things.
Yeah, love sometimes makes you shoot the president in the 80s because you want to. Who was it? It was John Hinckley. 'Cause he wanted to win the love of Jodie Foster, so he shot Reagan.
Jodie Foster from Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Hello, Clarice.
Police recovered some of the stolen money, but have been unable so far to find any of the that Rowley claimed to throw over the fence. Some of the money may be red because a dye pack hidden in the stolen cash exploded in a bank parking lot, coloring the money and Rowley himself.
These guys never remember about the dye packs.
Yeah,
It's been in so many movies. Remember the dye pack.
Yeah,
You know?
it's just a movie prop.
I'm actually
Can't be real.
disappointed it was red. I
thought it was supposed to be
like
blue.
the dark blue. Yeah, that's the way I want my dye packs.
Is that the standard?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In
That's
movies,
the
it
thing I
is.
always see in movies. So
Maybe like the red is patented and can only be used like
in Connecticut.
Yeah, that too. All right, guys, let's move on to the Thunder. Wow, the way things worked out, right?
That is insane.
I mean, we were biting our nails to get in the playoffs 5 days ago, and
Almost ended up in 8th.
you clinched the playoffs by beating Miami. Then somehow, some way, you weasel your way into 4th. It kind of, I mean, there was a good shot all along. We knew when we broke it down last week that the Thunder seemed to have the easiest schedule of the bunch going in. They needed a couple things to go their way to get that 4th spot. Those couple things went their way. They got that 4th spot. Home court advantage, which I think is going to be huge for this team. I think we'll definitely talk about it. But does this 4 seed, does it make you feel, Rob, does it make you feel a little bit better about the ups and downs of this season?
No, because you still remember how they got there,
Right.
And how like we were. If they don't beat Houston, like we're really worried. Obviously, we know that they won those last 2 games, but if they don't beat Houston, like the worry is still there that you're gonna miss the playoffs.
Right.
But then you can also flip it and say, well, they did beat Houston.
Well, they did, but that doesn't mean that I just forget about because you got the 4 seed that I don't forget how you.
Well, they're
how you
also
got
only
there.
like a full game back from the thirds, like the 3. So like,
Still
I mean,
doesn't
the
make-
whole West is just a bloodbath. Like at some point, it's like, well, everybody was just kicking each other's asses, and
Well,
that's kind
but
of
they
what happened.
also
They didn't
lost,
look great.
Yeah, they lost to bad teams like every team does throughout the year. It's a long regular season, but the way that they looked even in the wins, like just you don't forget about that stuff.
Does it feel like justification that they end up with the 4, considering that they had things go against them this season? You know, with the officiating,
old
you
Giannis.
had the Giannis step out of bounds. You had early in the year the illegal screen by Towns on Paul George that led to the Wiggins game-winning shot. You know, a couple little things like that didn't go the Thunder's way this season. Is that fair to feel a little justified?
it's a little bit of a vindication.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. You know, yeah, Rob, you're absolutely right. Like you don't blow 20-point leads. You know, don't blow these games that you shouldn't have ever lost in the first place. Like, and you're the 3 seed, and it's easy, but. Especially with how tough things just have been with Andre going down and just it was such a tough season and difficult at times. Like we had these high expectations, so to get there to the 4 and get there kind of the way you did, where you got some breaks late, I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. It's almost poetic.
That's true.
It's that poetic justice.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, the cool
It's
thing.
not good, but
The cool thing is though is that right now when you're in the 4 seed, the record doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, as Antonio Daniels, not to plug our last pod, but also to plug our last
Definitely
pod,
go listen to that.
he made a good point that kind of stuck with me a little bit about there being a clean slate for these players. And there's some validity to that, I would say, because you don't have a record that, I mean, you could be the 4 seed and be 8 games up on the 5 seed, but it doesn't matter. You're still the 4 seed, you're still a 5 seed.
Right.
So in that way, it's like, well, clean slate, you got home court advantage. Take same old now. Take care of business, right?
That's the biggest part is like we did talk about with Antonio Daniels, who was on our podcast. But he had mentioned like you
every
do
time.
start when the playoffs start, you start with a clean slate. Like he mentioned, even as something as little like we talked about free throws, how like they have struggled this year at the free throw line. Well, whenever you start fresh, maybe you hit them in the first game, get a little bit of confidence. You see sort of the stat sheet, and maybe that like helps you. Just play better whenever you need to, whenever the playoffs start.
Yeah, they don't have that. Like it kind of goes away where you're like, oh, we're not as good as we should be. Like our record's not how like it doesn't reflect how good we are as a team. Like that kind of is away now. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
like we're the 4th seed. We got home court advantage. Let's just go take care of business.
Yeah, and after you beat, the Thunder knew they were playing Utah right after they beat Miami,
yeah.
right?
Well, after Utah beat Golden State.
That's right. So it was that night. You knew you were going to play Utah. You just didn't know if you were going to have home court or if you weren't. But also, that wasn't the only thing you didn't know. You didn't know if you were going to be on the Rockets side of the bracket.
Well, they could have lost to Memphis and then been the 8th seed, right?
Sure, but no one really expected them to lose to Memphis. But so they could, if they beat Memphis, they could have either been on the Rockets side of the bracket, which they are now, or they would have been on the Warriors side of the bracket. Obviously, we're talking about the second round. Steph Curry's expected to be back for the second round. Are you happy that they avoided that side? I mean, put the home court advantage aside. Let's say that you feel confident either way in the Thunder matching up with the Jazz or whatever, whether you're confident or not. Are you still happy that they avoided the Warriors, or would you rather be over on that side?
Yeah, I think you would rather be on that side.
Really?
I
You think
so.
they're vulnerable?
A little bit, yeah. And because the biggest part is, like, let's say Curry does come back. Maybe he misses the whole first round. So then they don't know what they're getting with Curry. Obviously, they've been together, at least with what they have right now, going back to last year. But, like, still, I mean, he's coming off of an injury. Who knows, just to make sure that he's in good shape. And, like, I'm sure that all of that will be fine. But the fact that you have something to kind of look forward to, I think you would much rather be on that side of the bracket because Houston is good to go. Like, they're ready. And so that worries me a little bit. And I think you could kind of take advantage of that just slightly.
So I actually had the Nuggets won last night. I would agree with you. But being that the Timberwolves won and Jimmy Butler is back, I'm actually glad that we're on the Rockets side because I think Jimmy's going to make Harden tired. Like, I think he's going to wear him out a little. Even if it's only like a 5-game series or whatever, I don't really think the Wolves are going to win much. But I just hope that he kind of wears him down a little bit.
That's actually a fair point because if you look at last year, you see who the Rockets played in the first round last year. Well, we know that very well. They played the Thunder last year. Guess who's guarding him? Andre Robertson. Andre Robertson's a better defender because he can concentrate 100% on the defensive end than Jimmy Butler is.
Right.
But it could be the same type thing. Harden has a history of kind of flaking out in the playoffs. Maybe you can wear him down. He has a lot on his shoulders, man. He has the ball in his hands more than anyone in basketball.
Less on his shoulders, though, than last year with
True.
Chris Paul being
sure.
there.
But the way they stagger them, they don't play just an insane amount of minutes together. They open games together, they open halves together, and then they close games together.
That's what makes them so deadly is that they always have a really good point guard, a top tier point guard on the court at all times.
Absolutely.
That's what's so tough.
That's definitely what's so tough. But I think that does. And obviously
They don't have 5 Olympians, though.
D'Antoni can make adjustments. Obviously, you can play those guys together more if you feel like that's going to help you out in a series. But maybe, to Jason's point, maybe Jimmy Butler can wear down Harden just a little bit, and then even if they do prevail in the next round, he gets worn down a little bit more. But maybe
Mude's out, so that's going to hurt their defense a little.
That does help others, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal, right?
I wouldn't think so.
I mean,
Chink.
I've said all along I'd rather be in the Rocket side of the bracket, just because it's still the Warriors, man.
Well, it's also the Rockets are still an unknown.
Yeah.
Like you said, fizzled out last year, and so we just haven't. Like, the Warriors are really good without Steph, and so whenever he comes back, maybe they just pick it right back up and they're dominant, and the Thunder really have no shot. But
I feel like that's what's
know.
going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe.
Well, and they've got that confidence of where they've won together. They've already done it, and they've got that confidence about them. Whereas, like Harden and CP both have question marks about the playoffs.
And they probably have
D'Antoni
those
has question
same
marks
doubts in the back of their own minds.
Like, even though they're really confident about the season that they've had and they feel great about their team right now, like, I still think that's back there a little bit. And if, like you mentioned, I think it was like a podcast or so ago, not last one, but about Harden having those mental questions in his mind,
right.
Like, he's still a little fragile, I think.
And maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves because
you got to beat the Jazz
Yeah,
first.
the Thunder have a series of their own to take care of before you can even worry about playing the Rockets or the Warriors or whatever. But before we get to that, we're really hyping this up and really making you guys wait. Anticipation is crazy. Let's talk about Nick Collison a little bit. Crowd starts chanting Nick Collison last night, or they don't start chanting Nick Collison. That would have been
We
weird.
want Nick.
Nick Collison. That would have been weird. Yeah,
Weirdly
they started chanting "We want Nick." when Brewer goes out of the game, which we'll talk about Brewer a little bit, coming up in a little bit. Brewer goes out of the game. They put in Nick Collison to shoot those free throws.
Well, was that the other coach picking?
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah,
they get to pick who shoots the free throws.
Right.
So they pick
That's
Nick
all.
Collison.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah,
I thought you could
if
pull someone off the bench, but I think you guys are right.
No,
Yeah,
they chose. He chose Nick Collison. Also,
Good pick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Turns out it worked.
He missed all 3 when he came in, and then he came right out of the game.
Yeah, I have the most unpopular opinion about this, and so I don't.
no.
It's just not. I don't care.
No.
Well, the weird
I
thing.
just don't care.
What do you mean you don't care?
Like about
Nick
Nick
Collison?
Collison?
You don't care about Nick Collison?
No, I
This
don't.
is a hot
I just,
take.
Wow.
I
No.
just don't. I struggle. Like, okay, it's fine.
He's been
Like
here a
it
while,
could be his
you know?
last game. Russ did the whole thing. Okay, fine. Like that's
You didn't cry?
whatever. No, I didn't. I don't care.
I was
don't-
fighting back them tears at the
If
arena.
it's his last game, cool. Like,
Yeah.
let's get I
Get on with it.
I don't want to get too deep into this, but I think there's something to be said about keeping like Nick Collison around. You have Kyle Singler still on this team. Like we need some youth, and having like a Nick Collison still on the end of the bench.
You're just ready for him to go.
I'm ready for him to go. I am.
Yeah, it seems like it's time, and I think that's what we saw last night. We saw the thing at half court pregame. You know, Nick said this week that he's not sure. He doesn't want to call it just yet, but it sure feels like it, man. It sure feels like he's sure because he can't quite hang when he's in the game anymore. It just feels like that, you know.
He almost had a layup.
It was almost like by doing that pregame, it was almost like you're kind of pushing him out
Russ
a
is
little
like,
bit.
What did he
He's
miss?
done.
Like 4 or 5?
Yeah, I
or
think he went 1 for 5 at the line. I mean, it sucks that
That's not important.
that he has to go out that way, you know, because he's not going to play in the playoffs, right? Probably not.
So one thing that kind of surfaced on Twitter, it was from Eddie Radosevich. It was like senior night. Well, and Nick Collison, of course, you know, being that Iowa kid that went to Kansas, like it always kind of feels like college ball when Nick Collison's out there. So him having his senior night, last home game of the year, he gets to get in, and he already said that he kind of feels like a walk-on every time he gets out there during the season. Like everyone goes nuts for him. He's not as good as he once was. It's just like, you're trying, you're doing some cool stuff, but
The only thing I would have gotten
Good effort.
excited for is if we had seen the back door. Like somebody had cut.
Yeah, that would have been
and
great.
he had hit it, then you just leave. Like right then.
He just
and
walks
that would
off
have
the
been
la-
cool.
like walks
but
back to
just
the
to
locker
watch
room.
him struggle to shoot free throws.
The way it went down sucked. Like, I think if the Thunder would have built a 20-something point lead in the fourth quarter, and then you can put them out there for the last 6 minutes of
Yeah,
the
if they-
game, that's the way to do
If they
it.
just would have played defense, it would have been cool.
They did not do that.
No, sure didn't.
Third quarter gave up 39 points.
just kept hitting threes.
Yeah.
They
so
just-
where
kept
does his?
going
Are they going to raise his jersey?
Yes.
One day, you think so?
Of course.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer.
See, I don't think so.
think it's
I'm
a
on the
bummer.
opposite. Here's why I think it's cool. The guy literally played for the same franchise his entire career. He's been there every step of the way, from when the Thunder were the worst team in the entire league to when the Thunder got to the NBA Finals to where we are now. He's been through it all. He's been through it all with this team. And, you know, if you've been a franchise, if the Thunder had been a franchise for 40 years, no, he's not getting his jersey retired. But it's, you know, it's
been here since the start.
a 10-year-old franchise. I think that he's kind of earned it a little bit in some ways. He's played a big part in this organization.
The first place my mind went when you said he played for the worst franchise was playing for the Sonics.
Yeah.
It was like he played for the Sonics.
Also-
Then
also-
they moved to Oklahoma City and everything's so much better. They were really bad that first season.
3-24, something like that at one point.
Yeah,
That is a rough year.
and then they got
Say
rid of PJ Carlissimo.
They'll definitely raise his jersey because, number one, even if it's
It's
not,
the culture type thing.
Yeah.
to
it's
me.
that, and I think it's how much fans seem to love him.
It would be a little bit of a letdown for me if they did. I think.
Well,
Do you
be
think
prepared to
it's-
get let
it's
down,
just
but
kind of a like
You think it like
should-
cheapens the whole idea?
a
of-
little bit. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it does.
just
for
because he
me
doesn't
is-
have like the statistical
Yeah, he's
merit.
To me, it's for great. It's for great players,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever you're going to look back at that, like people are going to be like, "Well, who's Nick Collison?" And then you're going to go look him up,
And then
It's
somebody will be like, "I'll tell you who this shit Nick Collison is."
Yeah, you're gonna
you
have
sit
to-
down, bud.
You're gonna have to have people that were around then. It's I don't know. Not to say that it doesn't. I don't really care. I just think it does. Like you said, it cheapens it a little bit for me.
I think it's a little bit like putting George Washington on the dollar bill, right? It's like,
He was the first.
Yeah, I don't.
yeah,
I
he's
don't
just
know
the
about
forefather of.
That seems a
I mean,
little.
he kind of won
extreme.
the
I mean, that's
war
a-
thing.
That's kind of what I think
It's a
it's
big
like
deal.
a little bit. He's like a, you know.
Man, Nick
He had
Coll-
wooden teeth, bro.
Nick Collison
I don't
is
know
the
what that has to do
embodiment
with
of
anything,
Oklahoma
but-
City. He's a hardworking guy that's consistently overlooked and undervalued for who he absolutely is. But he's got great heart. He just goes out there and does what he needs to.
Plays the rat.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
And that's why I think Nick Collison deserves his jersey up there, because he is the embodiment of Oklahoma City on that basketball
Let's
floor.
put him in a suit and send him upstairs.
Yeah, no,
Let's not put his jersey in the
I agree.
Raptors for
why not both?
because it seems
Poor K, no one
it
else
seems
does.
silly. It just seems silly to me.
Yeah, but I mean, it will go up. I think for sure. I'm 98% sure.
I'm with no, it's not going up.
It's going up, bro.
Are we gonna make a wager for you? You getting a Nick Collison tattoo?
Oh god.
Little Jayhawks on the ass?
I'll get the rafter with his jersey up there printed on my.
I like it.
I'm not doing that.
All right, let's move on. Russ. Got to talk about Russ before we get to the Jazz.
Who?
Russell Westbrook. There you go.
And now for the Russell Westbrook triple-double counter.
And this is
Since we haven't done it all year, and
yeah,
did it
he
one
deserved
time.
it.
he did it one time.
Maybe we did.
He got 25 triple doubles this year.
Whew.
Compared to
Called
42
it.
last year.
Not 26 though.
Pretty incredible to get 25 triple doubles, and he averaged a triple double.
Yeah. That's
Right? How did he
nuts.
do that? Did
I
he
don't
just
know.
have such monster games that outweighed the?
Yeah, I think that's because he's had those games where it's like, holy shit, 20 assists. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
So
That and the games where it's like he misses the triple-double by 1 rebound or 1 assist.
right, yeah.
The crazy thing is that I think all of us didn't even consider this a possibility. Not a possibility, but definitely not a probability months ago, right? It didn't seem like he was going to get it. He was hovering around in the 9s at rebounds a game all season long. Mm-hmm. He had it with assists, but it didn't seem like he was going to get it with rebounds, and that's one of those things that seems to just decline as the season goes on. And he got it. He flat out got it. So I want to ask you guys, is this somehow, this accomplishment, 2 straight years, the only guy ever. To get it to average a triple-double twice in two seasons,
And he does it back to back.
Is this somehow being underappreciated?
I mean, I think so, yeah. I mean, everybody's like talking about it a little bit and being like, well, that's cool, he did it. But then, like, I mean, what was it, like a month ago, everybody was like, oh, LeBron averaged one for a month or
Right.
something. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, Russ has done it for
He just did it for a
184
whole
games
year
or whatever.
and then just did it another whole year. Like, that's mind-bending. It's nuts.
It's one of those things, and I think we've talked about it before. It's not something that right now we look at. Like, it's crazy, right? But in years down the road, we're going to look back and be like, wow,
Yeah.
that's insane that he did that.
It's kind of a weird thing where he's made this normal, right? He's like normalized. This
Yeah.
is just kind of what I do now. And everybody's like, okay, well, that's what he does now.
And that's probably why
Yeah.
it gets criticized the way it does, right?
I think so, yeah. And like you said, it's going to be one of those things after he's retired or whatever, years from now, people are going to be like, that was amazing what he just did. Like, I don't know if you guys realized, but that had never even happened or come close to happening before, and he did it.
And the fact that he did it the way he did it this year. You know, you have Paul George and Carmelo Anthony come in, and a lot of people would say, well, he shouldn't have got it. He'd have been better off not getting it this year. Like, he wouldn't have got it if he'd have played the right way with those guys or whatever. He was third in usage this year, which even with Kevin Durant, I think he was first in usage in the entire NBA that year when Kevin Durant was on the team. This year he's third in usage. His usage percentage dropped over 7%, and he still went out and got it. Mm-hmm. That's why I just think the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, that's truly incredible. Like, he didn't have a great start to the season, and he finished it. Really, the last what?
Since December, I mean, he's
Since
really
December,
turning.
he's been
I
really,
mean, he's
really
had
good.
a little stretch in there between December and now where he shot terribly. Like, you know, he went on that little run of not shooting well.
Sure.
But he kind of made up for it. I mean, he adjusted his three-point shooting. It's basically stopped taking them for a while. And the whole thing about him, like, stat padding and, like, going and grabbing rebounds, it's just like what he said yesterday. Like, if other people could go get 20 rebounds, they would. He got 6th in total rebounds this year. 6th. And he's a point guard.
Yeah, he's point guard. Do you feel like there's some like part of him that goes and does things like he did last night where he scored 6 points, 19?
Oh, that was all on purpose.
19 assists, 20 rebounds, or whatever he had, something like that, and he does it just to be like, look what I can do if I want to.
He didn't have to score at all, and he controlled the game completely.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
well,
like,
whenever your team is shooting that well, though, it makes it really easy
Sure.
Yeah.
to go out there and be like, no, I'm just going to get a bunch of assists.
No doubt.
Whenever they're struggling, like they did so much this year to shoot the ball, like then it's obvious, like he has to force it. Like I think that's what we've said about Russ always. Like, he does whatever the defense is going to give him, whatever they're forcing him to.
I'll take it.
That's what he does, and that's that. But I think the biggest part for like why this isn't really getting as much, or it's not being made as big of a deal as it should be, is because of the perception of the Thunder season. Like, if the Thunder had won, more games.
Yeah, if they were in like second or something.
Yeah, then
like,
this is going to be huge. And that's not to say that the stats aren't incredible whenever he gets a triple-double, because they win at a ridiculous rate.
Definitely.
But it's the perception of how bad this season was because of how good they were supposed to be.
I think that's a great
what
point. Like, because I mean, you like you said, you put this team in second. This is like, oh my God, or first, and it's like, wow, this guy is amazing. But I mean, the 2 years that he did this were like not very high in the standings both years.
That's
so that
probably
probably is like, well, it doesn't look like they win when he does it.
Yeah, because if you finish fourth and you're a guy that's doing this, you're like, oh, well, he cares more about himself than he does about the team.
Yeah.
But if you finish first and you're doing this, like, look at this guy, he's incredible. He's driving this team to be the first place team.
But if you look at, like, I wish it was more well known how much they win whenever he gets a triple-double. Because if you saw that, like...
You want me to give you the numbers?
Yeah, please.
86 and 18 all time. This is regular season. 86 and 18. That's equivalent, to put this how you might be able to understand it better, over a regular season, an 82-game regular season. It's equivalent to a 68-win team.
Damn.
Yeah, and so I think if that was more well known, because people say all he does is stat pad, well, it leads to victories. Like, that's the biggest takeaway for me. Like, he does it and it leads to victories.
While I agree with that yeah, it should be more well known and you should have that out there. The problem is that when you actually put that number in front of the people that are saying that he's stat padding, all they do is brush it off and continue with their own narrative.
It's so weird.
They're so far up their own ass about hating on Russell Westbrook that they don't care. There are some people that you can present them with facts and facts and facts.
Can't deal with ignorance.
And their own worldview is just all that ever exists. And those people that hate Russell Westbrook are in that conversation of, I don't care about anything that's actually real. I just know what I see, and Russell Westbrook sucks. And those people are terrible.
So what is it? What is it? Like, let's try to diagnose this.
I think a big part of it is probably the inefficiency of, like, where he goes off on these tears of being inefficient, but it's exactly what Rob was talking about, and we've talked about it a lot, where it's like, hey, the other guys aren't doing it, I'm doing it. Like, I'm going to make us win somehow.
I'm not stopping.
Like, I'm coming at them.
Yeah.
Like, whatever way I can, I'm doing it. And so that makes you, at times, you're going to be inefficient. You can't be efficient that mindset.
He's the human definition of going down swinging if he has to, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not...
You got to drag that dude out of the gym.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we love about him.
Yeah.
That's what makes him great. And it's insane to me that instead of just appreciating a guy for what he is, and not only for who he is now, but in a historical context and who he's going to be
Right.
in 20 years, and how he's literally a legend that we're watching.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, you want to be like, yeah, but if he just
why
dropped
is-
his numbers down, like if his numbers weren't as good, they might be better.
Yeah. Why has everybody got to be shitty? You know?
Yeah,
be positive about it. Like it.
It's something that Brandon touched on, but like he's not going to be regarded as well right now while he's playing.
Yeah.
But after he retires, and whenever it doesn't happen for so long, that's whenever everybody's gonna be like, man, that was like,
Damn, did you
that was
remember
so
that time
cool.
when that guy just got triple doubles all the time?
Yeah. Remember how hard that guy played?
He's like a painter, and after he dies, like all of his stuff's like super expensive.
The people...
That's deep.
Yeah,
That's good though. I like that.
The people that are propagating this bullshit are it's Rockets
Justin's
fans.
fired
Go.
It's Rockets.
It's Rockets
fans.
and Warriors
It's
fans.
Warriors fans. It's to a degree some old leftover Clippers fans from when Chris Paul was there. It's these teams that have some guy that's a point guard that's comparable on some level to Russell Westbrook. But there's like this intangible thing about Russell Westbrook of like, I really want to criticize him, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
So you just start grasping at straws trying to tear the guy
It's
down
like-
when your own guy has flaws because you want your guy to be better.
Well-
so they just make up bullcrap.
One more way to put it in perspective: can you imagine if LeBron James had done this?
Oh, good God.
It would be so big.
The ESPN
Like, it would
fellatio of
always-
LeBron James would
Yeah.
be incredible.
That's what sucks the most. And
Well, it's like I said,
all
he
credit
did it
to
for a
LeBron.
month.
He's won championships, which Russ hasn't done yet. And
Right.
so, but still, like if LeBron had done this, it would be the greatest thing any human being had ever done.
And you know what I
Since
what
sliced bread.
What I think rubs people the wrong way oftentimes is the way those big like ESPN, Fox Sports, the way they cover it. You know, when you watch a Thunder highlight like last night, all they do is show the rebounds that he got. how he got his triple-double, and then they show the final score, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's not the right way to do it. And so they're just pushing this on you, and that's what it almost puts like this perception
Fake
on him
news.
that that's all he cares about.
You see him like getting in front of, almost boxing out Carmelo Anthony to pick up another rebound. You don't see or hear Melo going up for a rebound and going, Russ! And Russ flying in and grabbing the rebound. You don't know about that. You just see him boxing out Melo like, oh, what an asshole. He's just hunting for rebounds.
Those are also that's so few rebounds that he gets.
Right.
Like there's also a huge amount that is just him using more effort than
Or
anybody
leaping
else.
over a center to grab a rebound.
Yeah, exactly.
Who does that? No one but him.
And it's not only the Rockets and Warriors fans, but you're seeing like Rockets and Warriors reporters like that rip on him. And I don't know if it's like this weird, if they're like threatened by him, if like he rubs him the wrong way because he's different than the guys that they cover, or he plays the game a different way.
It's because he actually tries every game.
I don't know. I don't really understand. It's hard to understand. Like, and I know it's always going to be hard for us like here because we do love and appreciate him.
Yeah. I mean, we get to see him being a genuinely awesome person all the time and doing really cool stuff for our city and all this, and just seeing him try all of 82 games.
Why can't you just be a great player without being on the best team of all time? You know what I mean?
Right. I'm okay with it.
With the media, I think part of it comes down to the way that Russ treats the media. Is that media members are just so turned off by that.
That's true.
That they get wrapped up in that same narrative of, well, it's somehow cheapened.
That's a good point. That's a really good point because, I mean, you got to put yourself in the media's position. If you were doing that too, you might view the way he treats them as a selfish act on him. So that makes sense.
Just another real quick thing on his rebounding, though. He is 2 of the top 5 highest rebounding single seasons of any guard of all time. Guess who has the other 3?
Oscar
Magic
Robertson.
Johnson?
Oscar Robertson. He had 804 this year.
Crazy,
That's
man.
insane.
I like how
insane.
he got enough rebounds and then some to get it. Too.
Yeah,
He was like,
Well,
just
you
he said,
always
he said, I
wanna-
need 16. I'm going to
Because
get 20.
The one that he got 16 on, what could have been like a shot. Like I was so worried they
Yeah.
were gonna go back and be like, no, shot clock violation didn't count.
Well, he made sure.
in the
you know?
third quarter, he got like 5 in the first however many minutes, and it was like, wow, that was quick. I was actually at the game, and I was up at the bar like waiting for a drink, and it had been like 2 minutes, and he broke it. And I thought I had time. And
Oh,
I
no.
I missed the record-breaking rebound.
Man,
I was
something that gets swept under the rug though here is like, yeah, he pulls down 20 rebounds. He had to, so he was playing his 80th game last night. That means he had to get to 800 rebounds on the season to get there. I mean, why aren't we talking about what he was doing in December when he pulls down 13 in a game,
Right.
Or 12 in January? No one thinks about those. It's just the last 2 where it's like, oh, he needed 34 and he somehow got 18 and then 20 in the last 2 games to make up that distance.
Yeah.
Like he's been doing this all season.
And that's what they'll focus on instead of being like, and then you can just rebuttal and say, well, what was the record in those games?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not like he grabbed.
It's 2-0.
And then all they do is look at me, say fake news, and go on with their own narrative.
All right, let's move on. That was good stuff, though, guys. Let's preview this series.
Worked out.
So
Got that 4 seed.
to lead it up, Thunder versus the Jazz. Thunder got home court advantage. Thunder won the season series 3-1. These teams haven't played since December something. Long time ago.
They haven't played in 2018.
23rd. Exactly. And Thunder have won the season series 3-1 by an average score of 99-90.
But,
Jazz never scored more than 100 points.
and who always played in those games for the Thunder?
We'll get to that. Should the Thunder be favored in this series? Do you consider them the favorites?
I think it really depends on Corey Brewer. Like if we know Brewer is going to be healthy and he's going to play,
Which, according to
Yeah, I think
according to people, that he believes that he is going to play in Game 1, although he might be playing not quite 100%.
yeah, or maybe you go through shoot around or whatever,
Sure,
and
he's
it's
a little doubtful.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't. It's you can't play. I don't know if he's healthy, if he plays regular minutes, like he's good to go. Then yeah, I would say the Thunder should be favorites in this series. You'd have to, because the biggest part for me is the Jazz have been on an incredible run since like January 1st.
29-6 over the last 35 games, and the Thunder are 21-14 over that same span. 29-6.
that's crazy.
Man.
Yeah, they've like ripped through the entire NBA
pretty
when
crazy.
you look at matchups, though, like I just think the Thunder match up really well with the Jazz. And
So why is that? Well, what is it about the matchups that you think they match up so well?
well, Rudy Gobert is such an issue. Like that's going to be something
Probably
like,
going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
He always like the rim protection. It affects Russ. It's really that's the biggest part. And I think you have to work with Adams. Like Adams, like trying to get Rudy Gobert in foul trouble is going to be really key.
Yep.
If they're able to do that, the Thunder are going to run away with this. But I still think you have to try and get Adams going. If nothing else, like wear Gobert down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, just get the work in on him. Like,
yeah, I think that's the biggest part. And then what I really like is that you don't really have anyone that I feel like can just completely take over for the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell has been awesome.
He would be the guy.
He would
Yeah.
be the guy. And so if you're going to tell me that you just have to avoid the rookie going crazy on you in a 7-game series, okay.
Keyword rookie. Although he's a great
he's
rookie.
so
Yeah.
good.
But I'll take that. Like,
Right.
if you just give me the guy who is a rookie, who has played so many games, is now going into the second season without really a break. And so, yeah, I love that this is the matchup the Thunder got for all of that.
And he's the only one on the team that even averaged over 20 points a game. Everyone else was significantly lower. So, yeah, that offensive firepower is not something you really have to worry about. If you can stick Paul George or Corey Brewer, kind of throw them at Donovan Mitchell.
Is that what you do? You mix it up a little
Yeah,
bit?
probably
I
a
think
team.
so. Yeah, and I think you want to throw a bunch of different people at him, even Terrence Ferguson, maybe a little bit if he even cracks the rotation again. But and that really depends on Abrinas. But I think you want to throw those different things at him because he is a rookie, because you want to get him
Different
as
looks.
uncomfortable as
Right.
possible in the playoffs, and just take away their biggest offensive weapon that they have. Make them rely on Rudy Gobert to create the offense, which. I mean, yeah, he's good, but I don't think he's going to be impactful enough to really carry a team offensively.
That's the thing. Are the
You're right.
Jazz going to be able to score on the Thunder
Right.
at a high rate?
Yeah, and I mean, if the Thunder, if you see the same defense that they used against the Rockets and against the Heat in those fourth quarters, like if they lock them down, which I think they have a very high ability to do against this Jazz team, like if they do that and they can just manage to score on the other end, like they're gonna be fine.
That's how you win basketball
That's
games.
you
Stop
keep them from scoring,
and you score.
and then you score. That's a hot take.
I'll be honest, you're onto something.
Gold analysis by the
I
Dr.
should probably be a coach somewhere.
Back to Rob's point.
Anybody's looking.
When you talk, you're absolutely right on Gobert. You cannot let him control the paint because this team. I don't think the Thunder are a good enough jump shooting team.
No. Yeah.
You have to be able to get to the rim, and so how do you do that? Are we going to see less Adams in the series, or are we going to see more Adams to beat him up to seal Gobert?
Yeah, I think we need to see more Adams.
More Adams?
But, like, to that point, like, maybe we do see a little bit of small ball and try and kind of get by. But
Like some Grant at the 5, Patterson at the 5.
the thing about Patterson that worries me is that Gobert will 100% go right over he'll go over the top of anybody.
Yeah.
But Patterson is not even going to be a thought in his mind.
The only thing you could hope is that Patterson will be stronger than him and be able to, really focus on boxing
The real
him out.
question to me is, can you get by with Grant at the 5 in those situations?
Yep.
Because, like I talked about Gobert maybe in foul trouble. Adams could be so bad for the Thunder if Adams gets in foul trouble. Then what do you do? Can Grant get you by? Because I don't think Patterson can.
Yeah.
This might be the one series we see a little bit of Dakari Johnson. if
Be
that
interesting.
happens, we have to have a big body in there.
I wonder, what if you get a little wild? We talk about these lineups that maybe Billy Donovan saves. What if you just
Oh.
see?
No, I liked it until
Throw a little Mellow in at center, huh?
I didn't think you were
there
going
it
there.
is.
Man,
Just to see.
You're
not
different.
with Gobert out there, right?
What if you tried it? I know it's so dangerous, but if you can kill them on the offensive end, it becomes way less dangerous.
And what is Gobert going to do? Like, he's just going to be standing in the paint, either picking up defensive 3 seconds, or he's going to have to walk out there to guard Melo, who's standing in the corner.
No,
Yeah.
I think you'd let Melo. He'd be within just kind of range of Melo, but you're gonna let Melo shoot at that point.
Yeah, which
Let him
that
shoot.
sounds dangerous for the Jazz.
does.
It sounds dangerous for the Thunder, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
could
I
go
would,
both ways.
I mean, if I'm a Thunder fan at that point, I would much rather have wide open Carmelo Anthony with Rudy Gobert just kind of doing whatever.
So another thing I think you have to worry about is it's not just Gobert out there. They also have favors. So they play really big. And so you have to make sure that Melo can hold his own with favors even.
Is that to the Thunder's advantage, though?
Oh, I definitely like that matchup.
Because you have Jay Crowder as their backup four, and if I'm the Jazz, I'm starting Jay Crowder.
I've actually thought about that. Like put him on PG, lock him up.
Yeah, I mean that, but
Easy
you got
killer.
Yeah,
over there. Put him on PG.
Lock him up.
Well, maybe not lock him up. But I mean, he's a really good defender. Like we have to worry about
Ingles
him.
can hold his own a little bit too on the defensive end, and Paul George is a little slothy, so
He's a little slow.
So that's the worry there. But yeah, I wonder if we're gonna see some interesting rotations out of Billy Donovan here, because maybe you try to play, because it totally makes sense that you're gonna want Adams on the court when Gobert's on the court, but I wonder if you might want to get Adams against some of those backups of theirs.
Yeah.
To really just bully them. You know what I mean? While Gobert's
They
on
do
the
a
bench.
little bit of the staggering with keep PG and Adams out there together, maybe.
I've liked a little bit of what Billy Donovan's been doing with the bench here lately. You know, he's still doing the PG with the bench, but before he goes to that, he's leaving Adams out there and Melo out there.
Yeah, I really like that.
Or he's leaving Russ out there and Adams out there. So it's been kind of fun that he's like, I like what he's doing. I like where he's headed here.
Yeah, right. So I have a quick question.
Okay.
If we win this series, does that give you a little bit more faith in Billy, or is that just the players
you
are
are
better?
Jumping the gun here.
I am.
That's okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Because Quinn Snyder might win Coach of the Year, right?
Probably
He's
not.
he's
but
up
he
in
might.
that conversation.
He's
for
in the
sure.
conversation.
He's
Had
on.
they-
He's
had
on a
they-
lot of ballots. I
Had
can
they
tell you
finished
that.
third, I think you have more of a case if they finish third.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he will. But
He'll be up there.
I just know that he's on several ballots. Like
Okay.
I listened to a podcast where they were talking about putting him on this ballot. Okay. He's on some ballots.
I think
Getting upset.
to the Billy point, I don't know. It really depends on how the games go, because
Sure.
if there's key moments there where Billy calls a timeout, draws up a play, and it works. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Out of Billy Donovan, be able to make the right call, especially late in the game. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out really for that.
I gotta think. I'm surprised at how, if you look at the Vegas odds, I'm surprised at how little of favorites the Thunder are.
Yeah.
I feel like this. I'm with you, Rob. I think this is such a good matchup for the Thunder. But to Jason, what Jason brought up right when we introed in and ruined it, Thunder haven't played the Jazz without Andre Robertson this season. And I got a number for you here. So Andre Robertson's played all 4 games against the Jazz this year. And guess who's the Thunder's leader in net rating against the Jazz?
Is
Go
Andre
Andre
Robertson?
It's
Robertson.
Andre Robertson by a mile. He's a plus 31.8 per 100 possessions against the Jazz this season. You know who's second? Josh Eustace, 17.8. Steven Adams is 17.5.
Yeah, and Adams was the second highest in plus minus after Robertson, and so to what we were talking about earlier, that could be his ability.
Although we
take
should note
advantage.
that Gobert only played 2 games.
Yeah.
He did,
That's-
yeah.
So I'm surprised that the Thunder have the 2 best players in the series. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Are you thinking about slotting Gobert over Paul George?
I would say 3, but I'm a homer, so.
Yeah, it's not 3. It's not 3.
I'm
not
shocked
3.
you only went 3. To be honest with
He's like, I think we had the best 7. So
We get the best 15.
you. Biggest impact, I think I would take. I would say just 1. But I think if you're just saying, just talent, best player, then yeah, I would say Thunder have 2.
I think all things considered, experience. Paul George has been there, man. That's what I like about this. The Jazz have a little bit of experience, but they don't have the experience that Russell Westbrook has, that Paul George has, that Carmelo Anthony has, that Steven Adams has.
right.
I'm so surprised that they're not kind of huge favorites here.
Worry you a little bit?
Yeah.
No. Does it worry you a little bit that they're sort of? Because Vegas
guess a little.
is in there to make
I
money.
I think everybody
obviously.
thinks, or a large portion of the media thinks this is going to be a really tough series, maybe the most interesting series. Zach Lowe posted today that he thinks it's going to be the most interesting one.
It's definitely interesting how good Utah's playing.
Is this shades of the Grizzlies series?
It's kind of going to be a grinder.
That's not a bad
Not the app.
comparison there. I mean, it could be, but even that Grizzlies team had so much experience,
Yeah.
That's and it's not that the Jazz don't have any experience, and they're obviously super well coached, and they play kind of that Spurs style of play that the Thunder are very familiar with. I really like the Thunder's chances in this series. Now, the Andre Robertson thing is worrisome.
Yeah.
Corey Brewer needs to be close to 100%. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Because you need him for Donovan
yeah.
Mitchell, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I still think
I think we're gonna need Abrines to be healthy.
Agreed.
Because that guard spot is rough. If those two guys are 75%, we're gonna need some help. Like it's gonna be a little iffy.
It's going to make it tough on Billy Donovan to put 5 guys out there that he trusts.
Right.
It's going to make it really hard. I mean, I'm a little skeptical that Corey Brewer can stick with Donovan Mitchell, though. That's my biggest worry. But then it goes back, well, he's a rookie. You can team defense the hell out of him.
Well, so do you go at times, especially late in the game? Like, is that going to be on Russ to try and pick that up?
Yes, I think so.
One place you can really get killed, and we saw it over the last few weeks, is that dribble penetration. And if Donovan Mitchell can drive and dump it off to Rudy Gobert,
he is very good at that.
Then it's going to be a long series, especially when you're taking away like one of the big weapons that the Thunder have is the rebounding. That's a wash at this point. It maybe even favor the Jazz because they were like 1 rebound better over the season.
Yeah, and that's just talking rebounds per game, too. I mean, at rebound percentage, I think the Thunder might have him beat.
One thing about Russ, on YouTube we have, I'm going to mess this up, Chirag Patel said Russ can't let Rubio get into his head.
For sure. And Rubio in the past has been a good defender against Russ, I will say.
Strange.
But also, Russ has killed him at times.
Yeah, the thing about that matchup, though, is Russ has to realize that he has to try on defense all the time with Rubio because even though he seems slow, like he seems like Russ should just be able to do whatever he wants offensively if Rubio is going to be guarding him, but also like whenever Russ is guarding him, like Russ has to realize he's dangerous because he can get other guys going. You talk about Joe Ingles, you talk about lobs to Gobert, like those get other guys going, and if they get momentum, that's terrible. Russ has to like completely stop that.
Right, and while Rubio is a little bitch, he is crafty.
He's been playing well. He's been playing well, but here's Rubio's numbers, and this was going to be a legitimate or preposterous question, but I'll take it out because we're really getting in deep here. Rubio shot 34% versus the Thunder this year and 22% from 3.
So he was 2 of 9.
And Russ was great against the Jazz this year. He was really good against the Jazz this year. Is that the game plan? Is the game plan force Rubio to shoot the ball?
That would be a great game plan if they could do
I think that's what you want to do for those starters, right? You want to – I mean, he'll make some on you, but –
he's also not the type that's going to just settle for a bunch of shots.
he doesn't want to, for sure.
No, and he's a good enough passer. That's the biggest part. That's the best part of Ricky Rubio is like he's able to pass the ball really well, and that's to me that's one of the biggest like pain points for the Thunder in this series. Is you have to keep him out of the lane, and you really have to stop him at the point of attack because I don't know how else to say it, but just the fact that if those guys get hot, it's what we've seen with the Thunder the entire season. Like once you let one guy get going, it's just contagious. You get another guy hits a shot, and then that's whenever we see these big runs for these other teams. And I think all of that is going to start with Rubio.
That might be giving Rubio a little too
He's a really good point guard, though. I'm going to tell you, he's a really good point guard.
I don't know. All right. It's time to tell you guys about our sponsor, Wellness Perspective. As you should know by now, Wellness Perspective is a growing community of regular people and business partners that make it easier for you to live a happy, healthful life.
That is correct. Wellness Perspective provides support, motivation, advice, and huge discounts. That's the key here. The huge discounts they give you on the services, products, and memberships that are essential to living healthfully. And actually, right before this podcast, we just got back from their launch party that they had over at Lululemon, and they introduced us to a few of their new partners that sound really cool.
Yeah, and so one of those was Clean Slate Kitchen. So they had a bunch of little cups of different meals they provide. So they're like kind of a Blue Apron-y type service, but they're local, and they'll give you a consultation. They'll kind of learn what kind of food you like, figure out what you're about, and then they'll start making meals for you and delivering them to your doorstep, which is awesome. So you don't have to cook.
No cooking. It's like takeout, but like super customizable.
And with Wellness Perspective, you get 10% off of Clean Slate Kitchen. Also, they have Size and Shape Fitness, which will they're kind of a gym, but they like really focus on certain muscle areas or will train you to certain
It's all triceps
things.
Over there, Size and Shape.
Exactly.
And that's just a couple of their partners. Their partners specialize in an array of things, and that's what makes this membership so cool.
So cool.
Remember, it's just $7.97 per month. You get discounts at all of these cool places to go along with that helpful online community we keep telling you about.
Yeah, man, $7.97 a month, and you can get discounts on coffee, gyms, float spas,
Cryo.
massages, cryo, coffee. It's just crazy, man.
Coffee.
Yeah, that's what I'm about.
Coffee and cryo.
So check out mywellnessperspective.com. Sign up for that $7.97 per month membership and get healthy. Get it. All right, guys. Before we get to legitimate preposterous, let's go through this little series of questions on this series. Series of questions on the series. Jason hates two
I
of the
hate it.
same words
I can't take it.
in a single
Yeah,
sentence.
alliteration.
Biggest advantage for the Thunder in this series is
I'm gonna say Russell. I'm gonna say Russell Westbrook. It's
like
obvious.
the matchup with him on Rubio in
just
particular. Just
having him on your team, he's by far the best player in this series. If he plays if he plays his game properly, doesn't jack up threes all over the place, and just focuses and controls the game like we know he can, like you guys said, doesn't let Rubio get in his head, he is the absolute X factor in this series.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
you agree?
Yeah.
I'll go.
That's a great point, Justin. I love that point.
So I'll go just the fact that they have the better roster, like creating what we talked about, mismatches and stuff like that. They just have more flexibility in what they can do.
I think I go Paul George. If Paul George plays well, I don't think the
close to
Jazz
doing
have an answer for him.
Yeah.
Like that's what if he plays well, I think this series could be over quick.
Did we see a little bit of a preview of playoff Paul George?
Well, dropping a smooth 40 last night.
He started 7 for 7 from 3.
Hit
Crazy.
It was
everything.
beautiful.
I like
I
when he
liked
shoots
it
well.
a lot.
All right, what's the Thunder's biggest disadvantage in this series?
Lack of depth
Ooh.
with, kind of all across. Like we don't know exactly who we're going to be able to count on. Not that the Jazz really do either, but kind of concerning for the Thunder.
Yeah, I was very close to going that, but I actually said the Jazz have the ability to take away Russ's weapons and make Russ shoot his way out of the series. So I think
So Russ
they
is
can
the
take-
biggest advantage and disadvantage.
It can be.
of the team.
So basically, they have Gobert that can take away Adams. They have Crowder, Ingles. I think they have guys that can cause Paul George trouble. They can cause Melo trouble. And if they force Russ to not be able to utilize his team, I think we're in trouble.
Jason, a big Jay Crowder fan, probably.
He's a good defender.
He's been playing well for
the
the
Jay
Jazz too.
connection there.
He's my father.
He has been playing. The Thunder with their length,
Weird.
though, I will say Utah is one of the highest turnovering. They turn the ball over at one of the highest rates in the entire NBA. And that's because the way they pass the ball, the way they like to move the ball, they really make it a point to move the ball around the court. Thunder make that hard on people, man. They really make that hard on people.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest disadvantage is the Thunder's tendency to sometimes shoot their way out of a game. Like just settling for bad shots, early shot clock stuff, not moving the ball very well, and really killing their own offense. I think that's the biggest disadvantage.
I like that as a point because I think that Utah is definitely going to try to get them to do that. They're going to Rob's point earlier, I mean, Gobert is a beast. He's going to be the defensive player of the year. I'm pretty sure.
It seems that way.
It seems that way. So it's not going to be easy to get to the rim and get buckets around the rim. So you can't just settle if you're the Thunder. What about Grant? What's his role in this series? This guy's been too good to obviously play 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Is he going to play? What if I set it at over under 19?
Man, that's a good number.
Going over?
I think so. I especially with I'd like to see him run at Derek Favors. The way he's been drawing fouls lately, and the way he's got that weird lanky flails his arms around and still somehow chucks the ball in. I'd like to see him run at Gobert a little bit and maybe get Gobert into foul trouble. You've got to do something to really mix it up with that front line for Utah. So yeah, I'd say over. I think he's really key.
I really like that.
I do
Going at Gobert.
Yeah, just making it different. And if you throw some confusing stuff at him, he's not going to be able to keep up with Grant very well.
Do you see Grant playing the 5 a decent amount this series?
I don't think a decent amount is how I would put it, but
You think we'll see it? Obviously,
yeah,
we'll see it.
He'll
for
see
sure.
it. I think we'll see more.
In spurts.
Okay, let me put it this way.
I hope it's for Melo more
I agree with
in that case, but
Do we see Grant at the 5 against Gobert in this series?
That I'm not so sure.
regardless of foul trouble, or you're saying just don't
Just
even worry about
regardless. Let's take that out of the equation. Let's say no foul troubles in play here. As a matchup, as to try to create a matchup problem, for the Jazz. Do we see that?
I think you probably do see it, but not for big stretches. Like I don't think that's not advantage Thunder in that.
You
case.
never know, I guess, but I understand where you're coming from. It could be.
Barring foul trouble, I think Steven Adams is on the floor every second that Rudy Gobert is.
Interesting.
Big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that.
I like that idea a
I
lot.
think Jeremy Grant. I think he's more of a 4-piece where you have men with Steven Adams.
Well, 4-piece Jeremy Grant. I like that too. 4-piece. Like what you're saying.
All right, before we move on, the number one most important thing the Thunder have to do to win this series, besides win 4 games, obviously, besides score more points.
Dang it.
What do the Thunder have to do to win this series?
I think it's Steven Adams is the key, eliminating
Got to
Gobert.
have good Steven Adams.
Yeah.
They
Trying to take Gobert out of it.
They have to maintain themselves defensively like they have in the games that they've won. The games that they have won against the Jazz in the regular season, the Jazz averaged 87 points per game in those.
Yeah.
So
It almost scares me how dominant the Thunder have been over the Jazz over the past few years. Like, it's like, well, God,
at some
Jazz
point,
have had
they're gonna
so
be like,
many.
"Damn them."
Are they going to be able to crack the code finally, and this is going to be it? Hopefully not.
I don't like that.
it's a downer.
Number one, most important thing for the Thunder to win the series, Justin.
Oh man. Yeah, I think it's going to be play good enough defense to just take Utah's not very good offense just completely out of play. Make sure that something that they struggle with anyway. Now they've been good over the last several games, like they've been putting up a bunch of points. But if you really mitigate what their offense can do, you stay long, you play to your strengths on defense. I think that's how you win the series.
No, that's correct.
'Cause I don't think Utah can possibly score enough in a 7-game
Right.
series to keep up with the Thunder.
We're going to save our picks
Ooh.
for legitimate or preposterous.
All right.
We're going to just
Legitimate.
save them.
For right now?
Right? No, not right now. Let's run.
Oh, you're so cool.
We're almost there. We're just like 2 minutes away. I just want to run through the other series real quick. I want to see what you guys think about these other
All right, I
series.
need to go lightning round.
Let's go lightning round. Eastern Conference, Toronto, Washington. What you got?
Toronto in 5.
Agreed.
Raps in 6.
Raps in 6. I'm with
Not
you.
surprised.
Boston, Milwaukee. Boston's beaten up. They're definitely not healthy. No Kyrie. No anyone else
I'm
on the team.
going
except for
Milwaukee in 6, even though I don't feel very good about it.
Horford. Yeah.
I'm going Boston in 7.
I actually kind of like that.
I'll go Milwaukee in 5.
But I
You're
just,
Boston in 7 now.
they just don't have a coach from
I'm going-
Milwaukee, so.
I'm going Milwaukee in 7.
Nice.
Philly, Miami. Philly, the hottest team in the entire NBA.
Philly in 5.
Philly in 5.
Philly in 6.
Philly in 7.
Wow.
Whoa,
That
7
would
games.
that would be kind of crazy.
I
That
think,
would be a
I think
fun
Miami's
series
going
to
to
watch,
push.
actually.
I think Miami's going to push
Interesting.
them.
And they're so young.
Yeah, exactly. No experience. Cleveland, Indiana. Cleveland's been a dumpster fire at times. They're starting to get it together a little bit. Indiana's been pretty steady all season long.
I'll go Cleveland in 6. I think it's going to be harder than they think.
Cleveland in 6.
Cleveland in 6.
Bro?
I
He's just
go-
copying off my
Yeah,
answers
I
from
don't
my
know.
head.
I don't know.
I go Cleveland in 5. All right, let's go over to the West. San Antonio, Golden State. No Steph Curry. No Kawhi Leonard, obviously. What you guys got? Golden State struggling. Spurs aren't playing very well right now either.
I'm going to say Golden State in 4. I don't like it.
Golden State in 4.
Oh,
San Antonio
Wait.
loses 4
Oh,
games.
I was like, whoa, you're getting hot
so
over there.
excited.
Yeah, Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I go Warriors in 6 as well. Me and Justin are on the same page over here, and you guys are on the same page over there.
Yeah, mine
Portland, New Orleans. This is a fun one.
I'm thinking Portland in. I'm just going to go 5. I think it might go 6, but I'm going to go 5.
I'm right there with you. I'll say Portland in 6, though.
Rip City in 5.
Portland 6. All right, is that the last one?
Nope.
Oh.
Well, ours is the last one, right?
Yeah.
So that. Oh no, Houston, Minnesota.
Oh.
We got Houston, Minnesota.
Houston 5.
That's a really good pick right there.
You
I'll
want to
go.
go with it again? You can.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Houston in 5.
We are good at
Yeah,
this.
Houston in 5.
Houston and
So
5.
many high fives over
we
here.
all agreed on that one.
That was
All right.
There we go.
Legitimate or preposterous?
All right, you guys know it.
Love this game.
Very simple. I'm going to read a statement. You tell me that statement is legitimate or if that statement is preposterous. Number 1, Carmelo Anthony needs to be this year's best version of himself for the Thunder to win this series.
I'm going to go with a legitimate.
That's scary.
Yeah. We just
I
need
thought
him to
that was-
score points.
I just agreed.
I just want him to score points is all it comes down to.
Again-
Shoot threes and make them.
Against Utah this season, he's played 33 minutes a game, 18.5 points, 38.7% from the field, 28.6 from three, 6.3 rebounds, and 2 assists.
Because of that, I'm going to say Preposterous. Like, I hope.
Because you're
Guess we're
3-1 with not a great
I
Carmelo
hope
this year.
that you don't need a great Carmelo to win the series. That to me is, if that's what we're going to have to bank on, we're in trouble.
Agreed.
Preposterous.
I'm
You
probably
don't,
wrong
You don't
here.
need Carmelo to
You
even
get no high five.
get anywhere near carrying this team.
I think you need Carmelo to hit timely shots.
Yeah.
And that's about it. So, Jason, you were wrong.
I am wrong.
You-
Excellent.
0 for 1. All right, next. Legitimate Preposterous. Without Corey Brewer, the Thunder would be underdogs in this series.
Oh, absolutely legitimate.
Crazy.
100%.
That's crazy to say. I mean, I'm not saying
It's
you're
not-
crazy to say it, but it's
if-
just crazy that's
if you
where
had
we
said
are.
that months and months ago, like, hey, Thunder are going to be in a series against Jazz that got home court, but they don't have Corey Brewer.
So is it
So?
simply because of the depth, or is it because
All
he's
of it.
that much better?
No,
than-
no. I don't think he's that. I think, I mean, what he provides, they absolutely need in this series.
Yeah, it's the role that he fills, and he does that thing well. Like,
Right.
he
100%.
He fits into that spot perfect.
Next, legitimate Preposterous. Antonio Daniels made you feel more optimistic about this team
100%
When he was on the pod?
when he was on the podcast.
Interesting.
legitimate.
Yeah, that guy's the legitimate. That guy's the most positive person I think I've ever met. And it is, like, so refreshing to be around. I
Oh,
wanna
he's a
say
great
that.
guy. Great guy.
I'm only about halfway through listening to it.
Oh my!
What the?
I have a job. I'm sorry.
Or you might be legally retarded.
I'm so sorry. I'm having too much fun with the buttons over here.
Nailed it. Oh.
Oh,
Next.
he went legitimate, I think.
Yeah, it's
This one's coming to you, Justin, because I already know your answer. Legitimate or Preposterous, the Rudy Gobert Steven Adams matchup is a push.
legitimate. I think.
I thought you were gonna say Preposterous. Adams is.
Oh no, I think it's a push. Just like I do respect Rudy Gobert on the defensive end.
He is pretty
I think Steven Adams' strength, as long as he stays home when there's dribble penetration and he doesn't help out every fucking time and get burned because of it.
Wow.
Getting heated over there.
Steven Adams, I think can do some good things. I think it is a push.
What do you guys think about that?
I go Preposterous. Like, I don't. Sadly, it's Gobert over Adams, and like I don't think it's a huge. It's not a huge drop off, but still, Rudy Gobert is really good at what he does, and Thunder are gonna have to figure that out.
Thunder done a pretty good job against Gobert. Like we said earlier, he's only played 2 games against him this season long. Averaged 10.5 points a game, 69% from the field, which Gobert does because he basically only dunks the ball or goes off the glass when he can. 9.5 rebounds a game, only half a block a game versus the Thunder this year. That's huge. Adams, on the other hand, 13 points a game versus the Jazz, 66% from the field, 8 rebounds, and not much else on the defensive end. But he was at least effective offensively in those games, which is cool.
And I don't feel like that was really the full Steven Adams, like when he got that head of steam and started like scoring 20 a game for stretches. Like that was the Steven Adams that was just kind of the mirror image of last year.
Yeah, and I think that it's not just on Steven Adams to make up that gap. Like, that's a lot of it is going to be on Russ as well to be able to try. Russ is just going to have to figure out how to get around Gobert whenever he gets into the lane.
And Billy for creating
true.
situations, to free Adams up to get Russell Westbrook clean lanes to the rim. Next, Jason, legitimate or Preposterous. The Thunder must win Game 1.
I'm gonna go Preposterous. I would love for them to win Game 1, but I don't think it's crucial for them to win the series.
Yeah, what's must? Like, if they don't win Game 1, they're going to lose the series?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll say Preposterous to that. I think it is extremely important to get that first win because I think
Sounds like you're leaning legitimate, bro.
no, I don't think they lose the series if they lose that game.
It'd just be real helpful.
Not even. I think even more than that. Like, I think confidence. Like, whenever you play against Memphis and you look so good,
Yeah.
like that should carry over into this first game. Otherwise, I think you're going to get a little bit back to where they were just 3 games ago. Before the Rockets game, it was not looking so good, so I think that could easily creep back in.
Sure.
I'd say 100% legitimate.
They lose.
Wait, that they must win Game 1?
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
they lose the series.
Yeah. I think that just the emotion that you have to build off of, just the way this season has gone. And I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I knew this was here, so I was like, I'll just wait. The emotion that has been this season, where it's been so up and down and so rough, and knowing that, hey, we finally got to the playoffs. This is what we've been waiting for the entire time. That roar of the crowd, the way it's just so much different. It gets louder. It gets more intense. Like, all eyes are on you, and they're just behind you the entire time. I think the Thunder feed off that energy so much that if they don't win, I think it's so deflating that you had all that positive
Like the
momentum,
momentum, yeah.
and you drop game one in Oklahoma City, that you go back to Salt Lake City, all of a sudden it's 3-1, and you're fighting for your life at that point.
All those points you just made are the exact reason I think it's preposterous, because I think the way this team has gone this year, I won't be surprised at all if they lose game one. I'm almost expecting them to lose game one. But I think that they totally have the ability to bounce back from that. We've seen that from Thunder teams in the past. Lose game one at home. It happens, man. And sometimes it happens. You come out, you fall flat. Utah hasn't beat them in a long time. Since the very beginning of the year. They didn't do very well against them last year. I could see Utah winning game one. So I will go preposterous. Last but not least, and this is definitely not least because it's our predictions.
Oh.
Legitimate or preposterous? We'll start with you, Justin. The Thunder will win the series.
Legitimate.
Give me some games. Give me some games. Give me some games.
Some games.
I'm trying to think.
He didn't expect this question.
They win in 5. They win. I'll go 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Well, you didn't have to tell me that. I know. I understand.
Yeah.
5. It's confident.
That is confident.
Bobby
B.
I'm going to say that the Thunder are going to win this series. So is that legitimate?
That's legitimate.
Okay, good. Got the first part. And I'm going to say that the Thunder are going to win in 6.
We did it again. Legitimate in 6.
All right. So you guys are both going 6?
I think 6, yeah.
I'm also going 6.
I wanted to go 5 really bad, but this team hasn't shown me enough.
What's more likely? Thunder go 7 or 5? This series.
I'm going to go 5.
I go 5.
Interesting.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Corey Brewer was 100%, I wouldn't be that surprised by a sweep. And it scares me to say this.
Yeah, I don't feel that confident.
It scares me to say this, brother.
I know that I was one that, I've dogged on this team in the past couple of weeks, and I've said I don't know who I'll pick them against in the playoffs. But this matchup in particular, I feel really... I watched some of the Jazz last night, and I know the Jazz weren't at their best last night.
Didn't look very good.
They did not look good, but I've watched the Thunder against them this year, and they're the only team that the Thunder have just completely dominated all season long. And so just... Something about it. I just like the Thunder's matchup here.
I agree.
Twitter questions?
Let's do some Twitter questions. Justin, you get that link I sent you?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
I got them up right now if we need them.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go off the website.
First one.
Oh,
Did we not? So we didn't get organized this one?
We didn't organize this one.
Oh, my gosh.
It was the launch party threw us off.
Yeah,
Who's on that one? Whose fault?
That's me.
Oh.
Of course. Who else's fault would it be?
I can work with it. It's fine. From our boy T at Drinking Tea, does it help that we are matched up against the Jazz in the sense that Adams will be sticking to the paint with Gobert? That's kind of something we already touched on. As with the Portland series, Nurkic would have been just drawing away from the basket and everything.
I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it's...
I almost think it's... I don't know. Obviously Nurkic usually plays Adams well. I think one thing you can say is that Adams, I think, has the ability to out-physical Gobert. I think he's stronger than Gobert, obviously. Gobert is very scrawny, but Gobert's the guy that can reach over the top of Adams.
Right, yeah.
So...
And he's given Adams trouble, so he kind of worries me a little.
He's a good player. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's one of those wait and sees. I don't know.
Do you know, Rob?
I have a pretty good idea, yeah.
Okay, let's keep it to that.
That'll work. From Caleb Smith at KalebSM 909-59731. Do you guys watch FSOK, so Fox Sports Oklahoma, or ESPN/TNT during the playoffs?
Definitely ESPN/TNT.
Definitely national broadcast.
No
better
offense,
cameras,
Antonio.
Better cameras, and once the season's over, I'm done with the local broadcasters.
Well, it's also, any chance I get, regardless of playoffs or not, I watch
Better.
the national
Yeah.
broadcast.
So I'm the only one. Yeah.
Yes.
No, the
Unless my internet TV provider limits me from watching the national broadcast like they have been.
I
Very
watch
upsetting.
Fox Sports, and then obviously in the second and subsequent rounds I don't because
You
it's
can't.
not available.
Yeah.
From Jared Lawson at @Lawson, is PG the second best two-way player behind Kawhi?
I can't go that
Say
far.
Klay Thompson's up there.
Klay Thompson would be up there. Antetokounmpo would be up there.
Jimmy B's up there, but I think I'd probably put Paul over Jimmy.
That's the thing. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. Paul's ranking in the NBA fluctuates, man.
Because
When
his
he's at
play fluctuates.
yeah, when he
Yeah.
plays well, he's just like incredible.
Too inconsistent
Yeah.
to be
I'd agree.
second.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
From Dakota Baker at Bearded Thunder 1, who's your favorite sports media personality? And please don't say Shrimp Bayless. Like how you call him Shrimp Bayless.
I mean, I honestly don't have one. Like, I just don't watch like stuff like
I
that.
thought you liked
Dan
Levitard.
Levitard.
Well, I do. I
Levitard.
love the Levitard show.
Well, there it
so
is.
I guess I can go with
There's your
that.
answer.
So I go Stu Gatz.
Yeah.
Easy. Stu Gatz
Stu
from
Gatz.
Levitard show.
You got anything? I'm trying to think.
just old Stephen A. Smith. So I'll say-
Really?
No,
Put that camera back on me.
no, I don't think I.
I've
really,
often said that.
I don't think I really
He's
have
like a
any
brother to me.
either that I can think of.
I honestly
go
hate
like-
the way sports media is anyway.
I'd go Zach Lowe is
Yeah, that's
my
a good
favorite.
Pick. Good pick.
really
Antonio
like-
Daniels.
or Rachel Nichols.
Rachel
Rachel
Nichols.
Nichols is definitely up there.
I can't
She's
remember
so
this.
good.
I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Who
well,
I
then he's not
like.
your favorite.
He's my favorite, but I can't remember his name.
JVG.
It'll come to me.
Mike Breen?
No.
Bang!
Oh my god.
Wow, you really threw it out there.
Next.
From Thunder fans at God is Spanish. In the worst case scenario, both Abrinas and Brewer missed the first game. What kind of lineup and rotation will it be like? And do you think it could cost us game one by missing those two role
Yes.
players?
Man, that is something that we haven't really talked about is the possibility of Abrinas missing that game
That
one.
game gone.
Nick Wright.
Wrong question.
The guy that's on with,
Did we move
with
on?
Chris Carter?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Nick Wright.
So if Brewer does miss,
Moving on.
who starts?
Ferguson.
God,
Think
I
so?
think it
Yeah.
would be. I
Yeah, I
guess.
can't really imagine.
Well, you might put Eustace in there for defense on Mitchell, but I don't.
so you're
I
saying
think
Abrinas
Eustace
is out.
too big and slow for Mitchell.
You're saying Abrinas out and Brewer misses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
that
go
was the
Ferguson.
That is
But if
tough.
I didn't hear the question. I was reading.
but if
I know.
Abrinas
Nick
is
Wright.
Sounds like a really good question.
if Abrinas is in and Brewer's out,
Oh, yeah.
Abrinas starts.
Abrinas starts.
Who guards Mitchell?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not Abrinas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Yes.
It's probably
2-3 zone, baby.
I don't.
Russ.
Well, yeah, but then who guards Rubio? You don't want to
Abrinas, bro.
Oh,
God.
Abrinas.
Got him
Jesus
locked down, bro.
Christ.
No problem.
No, dude, Abrinas on Gobert, duh.
Abrinas
Solid.
fighting over a screen, or oh god, that
Hey,
was
he's gotten
terrible.
better.
You just go under the
Yeah,
screen.
under
Oh,
every
oh,
time.
Rubio will tear you up.
Yeah, he'll clank it off the
Rubes.
side of the backboard.
Rubes.
From Evan McDeasy at Evan ETM, who you got in the OKC versus Cleveland finals because it's obviously happening.
I don't know if Cleveland's gonna make it,
That's
but
4 versus
OKC in
4,
6.
If Thunder get to the finals, they're winning.
Yeah,
They're winning.
I think
they're not letting that slip.
just about any realistic team out of the West is winning over the East.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So on that note, then, from Michael Cage Headphone Skin at the Brody 2020, who wins Finals MVP, Russ, PG, or Adams?
Wow.
Russ.
We're really jumping the gun here, guys. Yeah.
I just
It's
see.
Russell
This is what
Westbrook.
happens when you guys don't weed out the questions because I like these. Because like, yeah, I want to feel good about this. Let's see. Coming through. From Matt Stevens at Big Ol' Matt. What is the
that
ideal?
big old Matt.
That was a good beginning of that name, by the way. Big old Matt.
What? I can't- What?
Center yourself.
What is the ideal / realistic who we play in the Western Conference Finals if we were to make it that far?
I think we're gonna see Golden
It's
State.
got to be Golden State.
For sure.
I mean, I just
It's gonna be a
don't,
tough road. You got to go through 1 and 2.
throw me in the crowd that I'll believe it when I see it. Then
Yeah.
get beat. Like I just can't. I mean, you have Durant, Steph Curry,
Even
Draymond
without
Green and Klay
even
Thompson.
without Curry,
Yeah.
they're getting to the Western Conference Finals.
and I think they're 7-10 in their last 17, something like that.
Yeah, but
and I
still.
still don't.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
s-
fine.
I still feel okay about it. Should we do notes? We need to get to notes.
Let's do now.
Wait, hold on. There's one more that I want to answer. Chocolate donuts or powdered donuts?
Oh, I completely skipped.
Oh, that's
I
a
meant
good
to
one.
Come back. My bad.
Who was that
Hold on.
from?
This is from Sam Finesti at the Thunder Geeks.
So I love both of these, but I'm gonna go chocolate donuts because powdered donuts kind of make me feel worse.
They're messy too.
They get all over the place, and they just give me that like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. And chocolate, not so much.
Interesting.
That is weird. I'm gonna go chocolate just because
They're chocolate.
chocolate donuts. Yeah.
Powdered. I'm not a huge fan of chocolate, to be honest.
Oh, it has to be the right kind of chocolate though. There's different kinds. Just so you guys know.
I go powdered, but I also have a curveball for you. Those coconut donuts are the best
get the
little
fuck
things.
out of my
man.
face.
Yeah.
Woo,
They're
get
the best.
out of here.
They're the best ones.
No,
They're so good.
They're totally not. I'm sorry. You're wrong.
They are.
Notes!
All right, the Cleveland Cavaliers have signed former Thunder player and legend Kendrick Perkins.
Good decision.
So funny.
How much tax did that cost him?
So like what was it, 350 grand or something? I don't know what it was.
Totally
It was
worth
something
it.
ridiculous.
It's totally worth it.
Carmelo Anthony has set a career high for 3-pointers made in a season with 169.
69.
Beat his record by 2.
Been telling you guys, he's real good.
Paul George and Russell Westbrook combined for the most 20-plus point games amongst any two teammates this season in the NBA.
That's pretty cool. Like,
I know, I didn't realize that until I obviously saw that.
until you just read it just this moment.
Right?
There's some Warriors fans screaming right now. So, well, it's because Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry weren't on the same floor all the time.
Yeah.
They were both hurt.
Well, don't be hurt, you know?
That's the only reason.
I like that
Be
the
better.
Warriors fan has a hick accent, too.
Yeah.
he's from, like, outside the valley.
Yeah, he didn't like
Obviously.
basketball until he saw that they won all the games.
Yeah.
Thunder tied a franchise record with 23 pointers made against Memphis, which also tied a record that they previously set against Denver just like last week or something, March 30th.
Paul George actually, to that point, made more 3-pointers this year than any other player in Thunder history in a single season, right?
Impressive. I don't know, but that's
It
a
is.
good note.
It is a note.
Good
Yep.
note.
Should have thrown it in there.
3 of the Thunder's top 4 games this season and 3-pointers made were against Memphis.
Ouch.
They
They
sense.
also made a very close amount against us also. They love to make threes.
Good analysis.
Oh, no.
And, of course, Russell
So
Westbrook. Last but not least,
Thank you.
Russell Westbrook is the only player in NBA history to average a triple-double in multiple seasons. We had to throw that in again.
He did what now?
All right, guys, up next on Sunday is Game 1 versus the Jazz. What time's that game at? 5:30 or something?
Oh, I just cleared my whole Sunday for it.
I totally forgot what time that game's at.
I was just going to leave it on the channel and wait.
But anyways, that game is Sunday. I'm sure people listening know what time it's at.
5:30.
5:30. Then Monday, we will be back with another pod. So thanks so much for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. Justin's over at ThunderTie. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe. Watch all the podcasts live or on demand. You can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify as well. You can hear us anywhere podcasts are.
All of them.
We will be back on the other side of Game 1, so we will catch you guys on Monday. Till then, and as always, Thunder up.
Oh, wow. I
Tense.
lost it.